So you think that he's a federal informant?
I think he's definitely working. He's running right now.
Lil Durk is finding himself in even hotter water, as recent revelations suggest the feds have wiretaps of him allegedly making threats against potential witnesses who might testify against him. This bombshell has sparked a wildfire on the internet, with sleuths already piecing together clues about who these so-called truth-tellers could be. Adding fuel to the fire, Wack 100 has stepped in, dropping his own expose that sheds light on one of these individuals.
So you think that he's a federal informant?
I think he's definitely working. He's running right now.
The details emerging from the informant's testimonies are nothing short of gripping, so get ready to dive into this intense drama. It turns out Lil Durk has been caught threatening witnesses, and the revelations from his indictment are shining a harsh light on the OTF boss. While Durk has publicly embraced a more peaceful image through his conversion to Islam, the evidence tells a different story. According to an affidavit filed by FBI Special Agent Sarah Corcoran, Durkio has been using intimidation tactics to silence those cooperating with the feds. The affidavit, packed with damning details, reveals that the FBI's investigation uncovered direct threats to OTF members who decided to cooperate. For safety reasons, the identities of these witnesses remain confidential, but the document confirms that both the witnesses and their families have faced serious threats. These attempts to influence their participation in the case suggest Durk was playing a high-stakes game to protect himself. As the FBI tightens its net, speculation swirls around two potential witnesses, leaving the public glued to every twist in this unfolding saga. The involvement of OTF Jam and Brick Baby in this case is turning heads, especially considering that Brick Baby isn't even part of OTF or from Chicago. But that hasn't stopped one of his rivals from linking him to the ongoing investigation. Enter Wack 100, who dropped a bombshell during a podcast with Adam 22. According to Wack's sources, Brick Baby might be working with the feds. This unexpected twist is raising eyebrows across the industry, as Wack 100's revelations suggest that Brick Baby could be playing a much larger role in the case than anyone anticipated. With this new piece of the puzzle, the tension continues to mount as the story takes yet another unpredictable turn. Wack 100 continued to unravel the mystery, revealing that there's one person who could potentially connect Brick Baby to the case. This individual, however, has been on the run since the day OTF members were arrested in Chicago. The feds had their sights set on him too and came knocking at his door in Los Angeles, but unfortunately he wasn't home. Wack described how the authorities kicked in his door but found nothing. He was out on the streets, evading capture. According to the indictment, this co-conspirator, referred to as Co-Conspirator 4, was closely tied to another significant piece of the puzzle. It turns out Co-Conspirator 4 was allegedly the one who tipped off authorities about Quando Rondo's location in California, where he was reportedly staying at a hotel in LA. This new revelation has many wondering if Co-Conspirator 4 might be the key to cracking open the case, making it one of the most intense chapters yet.
All thought that was a bad drug deal, weed deal, you know that. The world thought that that shooting was a bad weed deal between some Armenians or Persians. That's what the world thought.
However, in February 2023, Brick Baby took to social media and made a bold statement, declaring that no one could say OTF didn't slide.
Okay. And it wasn't until February of 2023 that Brick Baby goes on the internet with Flacco and says, out of nowhere, the world is oblivious to this. I guess they can't say OTF didn't slide for King Von anymore.
In the video, Brick Baby went a step further, revealing that OTF had slid for King Von, implying they had taken action against Quando Rondo's cousin in retaliation for Von's death.
You can't say that no more.
Why? Oh yeah, because of no, like who died?
You can't say that no more.
Oh, because of FBG Cash? Or who?
Nah, because Lil Pop.
But this wasn't the first time Brick Baby spilled the beans about the hit. He also hopped on a track where he seemingly laid it all out, rapping about the actions he claimed OTF took. In the song, he mentions Durk trying to hide, but ultimately they turned him into a blunt. And dropped 100 shots. He even taunts, saying, "Go dig your partner up," referring to the fatal retaliation.
The feds get on Brick. We don't know this.
When Brick Baby was picked up by the feds, everyone initially assumed it was because he had caught a gun charge, but as the details began to surface, it became clear that the real reason they were after him was to seize his cell phone.
Under the presumption that it's an AK-47 case. But what really happened was They came there to get his cell phone.
The feds may have been looking for evidence that he was sharing Quando Rondo's location with Durk's hitmen, potentially linking him to the violent acts that followed.
What you think the police told Quando?
That the Roll 60 set him up?
It turns out that Brick Baby and Quando Rondo were actually repping the same gang, which adds another layer of complexity to the story.
What was he claiming?
Roll 60 script.
Where Brick Baby from?
Roll 60 script.
Who you think he checked in with?
Roll 60s?
With who?
Okay, I see where.
What's even more suspicious is that Brick Baby is a known gang member with a history of jail time. So for the feds to catch him with an Alaska 47 in June 2023 and not charge him immediately raised serious questions. Fans weren't buying it either. One comment read, "Dude got caught with an Alaska 47 by the feds and still hasn't been to court?" Make that make sense. Others even joked, suggesting Brick Baby might be telling given the strange circumstances surrounding his case. The situation was made even murkier when the case seemingly disappeared without a trace. This led to further speculation that Brick Baby might have played a role in dropping Quando Rondo's location to his ops. After the shooting, Rondo himself took to social media to denounce his gang, claiming they didn't have his back when things went south. Meanwhile, WAC 100's allegations, though unsubstantiated, seemed to be gaining more traction as one of the key informants was rumored to have been a snitch, and that informant might very well be OTF Jam. By now, everyone has heard about OTF Jam and the bizarre case of betrayal. Allegedly, Jam wore a wire to record OTF members confessing to crimes, a claim he eventually addressed on social media. He tried to clear his name, telling fans to hold off on calling him a snitch until they saw his name on official police paperwork. His social media post read, "Casey J. Hester aka OTF Jam is my real name. Until you see that name on the paperwork, don't at me." Despite his denial, things worsened for OTF Jam when no one from the OTF camp backed him up. Everyone was too busy shouting "Free Durk" on the internet, but nobody defended Jam. Then, Jam took it a step further, accusing Durk of snitching on him. According to Jam, Durk called him out on a track, saying, "Call me a rat or a snitch," but he raps snitch on them all the time. Jam was referring to the line in a song where Durk allegedly rapped, "Jam, get out that jam, I give him 50. Ain't got to ask again." This track apparently referred to Jam's time in jail, where he served 12 years for attempted murder. Jam even confirmed that Durk had given him $50,000 upon his release in February 2022. The whole situation is now spiraling, with OTF Jam, Durk, Brick Baby, and the feds all tangled in a web of allegations, betrayals, and questionable actions. The truth is becoming harder to discern, and the case is growing more complicated by the day.
They gave you 50, bro. You know what I'm saying? Fact. More than that. Everybody more than that. But so, can you tell us how much he gave you, or you don't want to even?
No, we ain't gotta get into all that, but bro made sure he made a way for me to be straight like.
Turns out, after the feds heard Durk rapping about OTF Jam catching bodies, they started zeroing in on him, waiting for him to slip up and land back in jail. Jam even posted a cryptic message addressing the situation, saying, "Who snitched on who? He snitched on me on a song, police all up on me." After that, it's clear that the feds were already tracking his every move, and once they had that lead, they were just waiting for him to make a mistake. But what really raised eyebrows was that Durk allegedly refused to cover Jam's legal fees or bail when he was arrested. This revelation came from popular hip-hop commentator DJ Academics, who revealed that Jam wasn't too happy with Durk for leaving him to fend for himself.
Are you saying that he made a threat towards Durk? I've been holding you down because I heard you say something about like his baby mama called Durk for a lawyer, and Durk may have like brushed it off, and they're like, yo, you're not supposed to brush off my call when I need something. Like, I'm the guy who does the dirt fee.
Only time will tell whether Brick and Jam are telling the truth, but one thing is clear as for Durk, many people in the industry had already warned him about his crew and his activities in the streets. Figures like 50 Cent and Big Meech tried to steer him away from that lifestyle. Despite these warnings, Durk chose not to heed the advice, and even some of his closest homies, like Chief Keef and Lil Reese, seem to have distanced themselves from him. Big Meech, a notorious figure in the streets who knows a thing or two about the consequences of a criminal life, recently had his say. A leaked video of a conversation between Big Meech and Durk went viral, where Meech urged Durk to separate himself from the streets, saying, "You stay around it, you going to be in it." Big Meech, who was once at the helm of the Black Mafia family BMF, a drug organization that operated across multiple U.S. cities, is no stranger to the consequences of a life in crime. In the early 2000s, Meech and his brother were arrested, and their criminal empire came to an end as the federal agents launched a joint investigation into their operations. BMF had expanded its cocaine trade beyond Detroit, establishing a presence in major cities like Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Miami. Their rise to wealth caught the attention of federal authorities, and eventually they were taken down by the DEA and FBI. It was a cautionary tale for anyone involved in the streets, but Durk, despite being warned, continued down that path. Despite attempts to stay off the Fed's radar, the Black Mafia family BMF continued their high-profile activities, which inevitably drew attention. Similar to Lil Durk and OTF, a shooting in a different state eventually led to multiple deaths, triggering federal investigations. In 2003, a shootout in Atlanta's Buckhead nightclub district brought the BMF into the national spotlight. This incident resulted in the deaths of 2 men, including Diddy's bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones. The violent nature of the shooting increased law enforcement's focus on the BMF, and the investigation gained traction. Federal agents utilized the same tactics that were later employed on Lil Durk wiretaps, surveillance, and informants. These methods provided crucial intelligence on BMF's operations and their connections to international cocaine suppliers. The scope of the organization's criminal activities was revealed, showing just how expansive the network was. In 2005, a series of coordinated raids across multiple states, including Georgia, Michigan, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, and California, targeted key BMF members and associates. These raids resulted in over 150 indictments, effectively dismantling the organization's drug empire. The evidence against BMF was overwhelming, and Big Meech, one of the heads of the operation, was charged with operating a continuing criminal enterprise (CCE), which carried a potential life sentence. Faced with the possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison, Big Meech pled guilty in 2007 to CCE charges and money laundering related to the drug trade. This marked the beginning of the end for BMF, as the organization's criminal empire collapsed under the weight of the federal investigation. Big Meech had hoped for a more lenient sentence, anticipating a minimum of 20 years in prison. However, the severity of his crimes, along with the overwhelming evidence presented by prosecutors, led to a much harsher sentence. On September 12, 2008, Big Meech was sentenced to 30 years in prison without the possibility of parole under the federal system. His case served as a stark reminder of how the legal system can come down hard on those involved in large-scale criminal enterprises. But Big Meech wasn't the only influential figure attempting to give Lil Durk advice about the dangers of street life. 50 Cent, who had his own close ties to Big Meech, also tried to steer Durk away from the dangerous path he was on. 50 Cent, who had nearly been killed in the early 2000s due to a street beef, recently revealed that he had given Lil Durk advice on staying out of the streets.
Now, when you look at some of these younger artists and you see how they idolize you and idolize your music, and then you see them get caught up,
Yeah.
do you have conversations with them? Like I remember Casanova, and you was trying to talk to Casanova, Troy Ave, and now Lil Durk. Do you have conversations with them and be like, I've seen this play before?
50 Cent revealed that he had warned the Chicago rapper Lil Durk to be cautious and watch his crew.
Even with Durk, I was telling him, like when I had him, he was in New York. Then, like I was like, yo, this is them, right? It's the real shit, right? He's like, yeah. And I said, yo, just watch him. His crew.
It turns out that even back then, someone in Lil Durk's crew was involved in some shady behavior. The Chicago rapper confided in 50 Cent that there was a leak within his inner circle.
When you said that to Durk, what was his response to you?
He said, you know what? He said, somebody just came in my house. How do they know exactly what the address is? I don't give my address to nobody. Like, this is not, cause something happened.
The robbery in Georgia?
Yeah.
When India had to shoot?
He went straight to talking about.
In 2021, Lil Durk and his girlfriend, India Cox, became victims of a harrowing home invasion that escalated into a shootout. According to reports, several unidentified individuals broke into Durk's residence in the Brazelton neighborhood near Atlanta early on the morning of July 11th. A gunfight ensued, but fortunately, Durk and India were unharmed as they fought back and the suspects fled the scene. This is where things get even more interesting. The feds, no strangers to listening in on suspicious activities, caught wind of Brick Baby's words and immediately took notice. His lyrics seemed to confirm what they had suspected all along. Now, with the authorities aware of his open admissions, it seems Brick Baby's involvement in the case might be far more significant than initially thought. There have been rumors circulating that Lil Reese and Lil Durk are not on good terms. While Reese didn't directly show support for Durk during his arrest, he posted a photo of himself in jail alongside Durk's song Love for the Streets. This raised eyebrows among fans, as many expected him to publicly back his fellow Chicago rapper.
You know, Reese mama bad in a right?
Okay.
I heard Durk was his mama and his auntie.
No.
The fallout between Lil Durk and Lil Reese seems to stem from multiple issues. In addition to the personal drama involving Reese's family, there's also a professional conflict that added fuel to their strained relationship.
I was just shooting dice and won all my money. I came back on the block. I couldn't get all the other guys because I knew they wasn't gonna want to do it with me. So I told Durk, like, come with me, grab a gun. He asked, like, what we finna do? I ain't telling him what we was finna do. So when we got to the barber shop, I made him rob this, and we took my money back that I had lost in the dice game.
After the Cam Capone interview dropped, where Lil Reese discussed the robbery with Durk, it was reported that Durk unfollowed Reese on social media. This action signified a clear break between the two, reinforcing the idea that the interview and Reese's revelations about their past street activities deeply affected their relationship. Unfollowing someone in the public eye, especially after a conflict, is often seen as a way to distance oneself and cut ties, and in this case, it seemed to be Durk's response to Reese's public disclosure.
When I interviewed Reese, he told a story about how him and Durk robbed some guys. Lil Durk unfollowed Lil Reese after this story came out.
It seems the betrayal from Lil Durk's circle doesn't stop with Lil Reese. Chief Keef, another prominent Chicago rapper, has also distanced himself from Durk after his arrest. Reports claim that Chief Keef purchased a $500,000 chain around the same time Durk was arrested but has not publicly shown any support for him. This lack of support from Keef and other members of Durk's circle highlights the growing tensions and possible rifts within Chicago's rap scene, suggesting that even long-standing relationships can break down when street politics and personal conflicts come into play. Lil Durk's efforts to rebrand himself and shed his past have been significant, especially with his public embrace of Islam and his attempts to distance himself from street life. In August 2024, he made a powerful statement on social media, declaring that he no longer identifies with gang life, choosing instead to be defined as a man, a father, and a 100% Muslim. This shift was not just about changing his identity, but about setting a new course for his life. Durk emphasized that while his music would continue to reflect his experiences, his personal goals had changed, and he urged fans to follow him on this new chapter of his life. His efforts to distance himself from his past were also reflected in his decision to go to rehab and clear up his criminal record, sending a message of personal growth and redemption. Lil Durk's efforts to turn his life around have been both impactful and admirable. In 2020, he took a monumental step by founding the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, a nonprofit aimed at uplifting and empowering individuals within underserved neighborhoods. The foundation focuses on providing resources and support to those often overlooked, and its initiatives reflect Durk's desire to create lasting, positive change in his community. Lil Durk's dedication to community service and social change was widely recognized, especially in his hometown. In recognition of his work with the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, Durk received several prestigious honors. Weeks before his arrest, he was celebrated for his efforts to uplift Chicago's underserved neighborhoods. Durk's advocacy for change in Cook County, Illinois, earned him keys to the city from multiple municipalities, including the village of Broadview and the village of Bellwood. But the plot thickens even further. After the shooting, the feds reportedly told Quando Rondo that the gang he was affiliated with, the Rollin' 60s Crips, had set him up. This adds another layer of betrayal to the story, as it suggests that the very people Rondo thought he could trust might have played a role in orchestrating the violence that nearly ended his life. With so many moving pieces, it's becoming clear that the feds are uncovering a far more complicated and dangerous web than anyone could have imagined. The fallout between Lil Durk and Lil Reese seems to stem from multiple issues. In addition to the personal drama involving Reese's family, there's also a professional conflict that added fuel to their strained relationship. Durk reportedly called Reese a rat after Reese went on the Cam Capone podcast and disclosed some street business. During the interview, Reese revealed that he and Durk had been involved in a robbery, which Durk apparently took issue with, especially since revealing such details goes against the unspoken rules of street loyalty and silence. As his chapters unfold, the world will continue to watch and perhaps learn from the evolution of a man determined to rewrite his story.